Hey guys, so slightly different kind of video today. I thought that media analysis was just a little bit too controversial. So today on the docket, I've got something that's less contentious. Let's see, yes. Right here. Is Elon Musk anti-Semitic? So, I promise I'll answer the title of the video. But first, a little story time. One time, back in June 2020, I was in the Berlin Central Park, called the Tiergarten. And there, amongst the many flowers and Canada geese, apparently Germany has a lot of invasive Canada geese, a man emerged from this winding labyrinth of statues and approached me with an intense air of purpose. He said to me,
"Is it worth it?"
Okay, but it was in German, but we'll keep it simple. At first, I didn't really know what he was talking about, but you see, this was summer 2020, the middle of the pandemic, and the Germans took their mask mandate very seriously. So I was wearing one even outdoors, and he was asking me, did I think wearing a mask was worth my health? Now, a thing you gotta know about me is that I like me some weird dudes. Wesley likes himself some unhinged political combos with manic men in the park. So in a combination of my weak German and his poor English, we carried a conversation. And it turns out he's a Reichsbürger, which means that he doesn't believe the democratically elected government of Germany is legitimate. He actually thinks that the Kaiser is the legitimate ruler of Germany. And he just kept circling back to this idea that these masks were bad for people's health and killing them. And obviously we know that's false. I'm still here, still fine. And when I would ask him who was orchestrating all this, like, what does anyone get out of just murdering random people, he told me George Soros. Now, for the uninitiated, George Soros is a Hungarian-American businessman and philanthropist. And unfortunately, it is relevant for me to inform you that he is Jewish and a Holocaust survivor. This man in the park, he gave me this really whack story about George Soros wanting revenge for the Holocaust and orchestrating this whole thing with the help of Bill Gates. Bill Gates is just in it for the money, but doing all this just to kill Germans. And honestly, it's a pretty standard anti-Semitic template that he's working with. George Soros is an extremely common target of anti-Semitism. One, because he's a Jewish billionaire, and two, because he votes Democrat and donates a lot of money to progressive causes. Anyway, I haven't really given too much thought to the man of the park in the 3 years since. That is, until Elon Musk started talking like him. So, last week, Elon tweeted, "Soros reminds me of Magneto." And then it gets replied to by Brian Krasenstein, who tries to use the comparison as a chance to talk about George Soros being shaped by the Holocaust and his good intentions. And Elon just doubles down. You assume they are good intentions. They are not. He wants to erode the very fabric of civilization. Soros hates humanity. Many people have interpreted this as anti-Semitic because Elon is comparing George Soros, a Jewish Holocaust survivor, to Magneto, a Jewish Holocaust survivor who hates humanity and schemes to punish it as revenge for the Holocaust and mutant bigotry. You'll notice that implying George Soros is a supervillain scheming against the world as revenge for the Holocaust is almost identical to Crazy Park Man. It really kills me that rhetoric I used to only hear from crazy men in the park is now being spouted by one of the most influential men on Earth. But let's be fair to Elon. He did try to provide some evidence. He held up as evidence the fact that A, Soros has financially backed district attorneys that Elon believes are too soft on crime, and B, that George Soros wants complete open borders. I think I would agree with Elon that the outsized influence that the rich and powerful hold over our judiciary is deeply unfortunate. But funding progressive district attorneys, even if they're kind of soft on crime, is not conclusive evidence that George Soros hates humanity or that he's trying to sabotage the fabric of civilization. And as for open borders, there's a lot of reasons besides hating humanity that George Soros could want for open borders. My guess would be humanitarian and economic. The closed borders at the US-Mexico border have created a humanitarian crisis down there, and the European Union enjoys a set of limited open borders that have been really good for their economy. I imagine that as a European immigrant, George Soros has probably taken some influence from there. I'm not endorsing open borders here, but it really doesn't prove that he wants to erode the fabric of civilization. It just kind of feels like he's throwing up red herrings. So, okay. His evidence is kind of weak, but maybe he's just being hyperbolic. He's a funny guy. He deals in memes. I don't want to be the free speech police here. Elon Musk himself is a real free speech warrior, as shown in this tweet right here. No, not that one. Okay, that one. Anyway, just what I'm trying to say here is that we should really be judging Elon by the standard by which he judges other people. Recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene got called a white supremacist by Representative Jamal Bowman, and in response, Elon tweeted that no one should be called an anything supremacist without definitive evidence. Now, I know saying George Soros hates humanity and wants to erode the fabric of civilization isn't the same thing as saying he's an anything supremacist. It's probably worse. So yeah. For the lady who blamed wildfires on Jewish space lasers, Elon Musk is Mr. Definitive Evidence, and for George Soros, he is markedly less charitable. Howdy, Daytime Wesley here. I didn't really know where to put this, so here it is. When I finished recording last night, I wanted to note that Elon did make a very half-assed apology where he did pay some lip service to being more careful with his words. And then, in an interview where he was pushed on the George Soros stuff, he doubled down, and then he absolutely butchered a quote from The Princess Bride, and then he said this about a mass shooter with a swastika chest tattoo.
But I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop, I'm not quite sure what you meant, but
somehow that's not that that obviously people were killed, but it was, I think, incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action.
It's just that when Elon sees a mass shooter with a swastika chest tattoo that's murdered a bunch of children, and his first response is to suggest that this is a conspiracy to make white supremacists look bad, it's Nazi shit. Anyway, back to the scheduled video. Okay, I can't tell you if Elon in his heart believes that George Soros hates humanity. But I can tell you with a pretty fair level of certainty that he does have a thing against George Soros. And this is where I see people coming in to point out the fact that recently George Soros cut all ties with Tesla. So this raises a very interesting question. Would it be better for Elon to just be authentically anti-Semitic, or would it be better if he was just cynically using anti-Semitic rhetoric to stoke up hatred against a Jewish businessman that financially spited him? I would say they're almost indistinguishable. Being anti-Semitic because you think Jewish people are evil and being anti-Semitic because you think you'll profit from it are both so awful that it really defies comparison. They're both extremely unflattering, and even in the case where he's not anti-Semitic to his very core, it still paints an extremely petty and malicious image of Elon Musk. Like, what exactly do you think he was accomplishing by stoking up all this hatred for George Soros? It's not going to bring money back to Tesla, and as a matter of fact, it might do the opposite. Now listen, I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. I can't tell you for certain if anybody genuinely, consciously hates anybody. But I can tell you that the action of spreading anti-Semitic rhetoric is itself anti-Semitic. So yes, to answer the title of this video, I think Elon is anti-Semitic. He might be adopting the rhetoric of an anti-Semite for some 12th dimensional chess rhetoric game that he's playing, but in the words of Kurt Vonnegut, we are who we pretend to be. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing. It really makes a difference. And for returning viewers, you guys like the talking head? I did it in my really early videos, but I was doing a take where I wanted to push this over. Like, I thought it would be really funny if I pushed this over as a gag. And anyway, it just broke, and I wasn't even recording. So that wasn't very good. But now it's back. There's another video game video in the works, I promise.